This time we're looking at Quicksilver from the Hasbro Marvel Legends second wave. Also available in this wave, you can see the She-Hulk, Thor, Ultimate Wolverine, Jean Grey from the movie, X3 movie, Yellow Jacket, and Juggernaut from the X3 movie, and Zorn. And of course the Build-A-Figure, the Blob. I have all of the figures except for Zorn and the X3 Jean Grey. So he's missing a leg and an arm. Right up in very small type, you have the stats and a list of the powers. Gone are the power bar ratings. I would also like to call attention to the fact that the difference between the figure as shown on the back and the figure as he in the final form. On the package, one hand is a fist and one hand is open but with splayed fingers. For the actual figure, you can see that we get two open hands, and the fingers are not splayed but all together. On with Quicksilver, of course. Quicksilver, or Pietro Maximoff, first appeared in X-Men #4 in 1964. Nice head sculpt. Of course, you have his funky hairdo. The rest of the sculpt, the hands, I'm not so enamored of. I really don't like the way the articulation is on this guy, and I'll get into that later. Hasbro has used this body a couple of times to give us other figures. Of course, they throw a different head on there and slight tweaking of the feet and the hands. It's got a pretty nice paint job. Nothing too disastrous. A little bit of chipping here in the back. That's because of the way the figure is, the articulation in the figure rubbing up against it. I mean, there's really only two colors on the suit itself, the blue and the white, which they've managed to actually done a good job at matching the white on here to the white on the gloves. Sometimes the paints don't match with the plastic. Now, he doesn't come with any accessories aside from the piece to build the blob. Well, he's got a head. Of course he has a head. His head, very stiff to move left and right, but good up and down. His arms have a extra shoulder joint, which allows him to pull his arms back further. He has the regular 360 shoulder thing here, in and out. Rotated the bicep, double joint at the arm, elbow. Rotates at the lower arm. However, poses do break up the sculpt a little bit. His hands bend, and his fingers move all together. He's got very good abdominal articulation. His waist does turn, but is very stiff. He has these weird ball joints that you have to move around to get the legs to go back, forward, and back, which I really don't like. He rotates here at the upper thigh, and he's got a double knee joint. He rotates at the calves, but that, like the lower arms, breaks up the sculpt a little bit, depending upon the pose. His ankles bend forward and back, pivot side to side, and he's got a toe joint. Going over his faults, while he has this nice abdominal articulation, he does kind of have this little wiggle there, a bit of a gap over here. You know, you can almost see all the way through there. I don't know if you can. And again, you have to move this thing to get his legs to go forward and back. You gotta manipulate this in the right way, which I never liked. And that's something that Hasbro did with almost all of their figures. Another thing is he's got, I know he's a runner, but he's got these very big, large, flat feet that look kind of funny. For his early backstory, I would refer you to the Scarlet Witch history, part 2 video. Becomes a member of the Brotherhood. Magneto leaves, or is taken by the Stranger. He joins the Avengers and becomes part of Captain America's kooky quartet. He has a brief return to Magneto and the Brotherhood. He was injured by a Sentinel and cared for by Crystal, who at that point was part of the Fantastic Four. He falls in love with Crystal, and they get married. Mad Inhuman Maximus doesn't like the fact that they've married, so he drives Quicksilver insane, and for a while he turns evil. He's eventually cured, but during this time, Crystal he joined the Avengers and became unfaithful, starting a relationship with the Black Knight, Dane Whitman. So their marriage is very strained, even though they do have a normal human daughter, Luna. For a while, he goes to Wundagore Mountain, or his birthplace, and helps out the High Evolutionary in return for Isotope E, which helps boost his speed powers. He becomes a Knight of Wundagore. A lot of people kind of blame him for the whole House of M stuff, and he's depowered after the whole House of M and decimation storylines. So he tries to use the Terrigen crystals, that the Terrigen mist that changes the Inhumans. He tries to use those to regain his powers, and he succeeds for a little bit. His powers are more, I guess, time-based. However, after a while, those things fade. His real powers come back. He's most recently seen in the Mighty Avengers, searching for his sister, who is somewhere on Earth, an amnesiac. Quicksilver is one of these arrogant characters that think they know best, think they're better than everybody, really have this sort of cool attitude. And there's a great issue of X Factor written by Peter David that really explains his attitude and why why he is sometimes such a jerk. That'll be it for now. Stay tuned for my next review, which will be Vision.